perks of being single: freedom, less drama, less of a chance of being chased by a psychopathic killer. I'm glad I'm single. What's going on, guys, and welcome to my review of Heart Eyes, the latest slasher red herring whodunit film. This is something that from the moment that the trailers and ads started up, this would definitely be for me. And I knew this was going to be a film especially for me because I'm such a slasher nut. So this was definitely on my radar. It was definitely on my go-to films of 2025 to see. This is something that I knew I was going to be there like first day, and I was. So in this film, you have these two co-workers who are mistaken for a couple by the infamous Heart Eyes killer, which forces them to spend all of Valentine's Day night running for their lives as the body starts piling up. Now this is something that came out of nowhere. I'm usually pretty good at looking up movie info and keeping up with all of that stuff. This is something that I've hardly heard of, like, even being made. Now, I may have heard whispers, I may have seen articles here and there. Maybe I was in a rush at those times. So in my haste to look up all the information on all those headlines, I just never caught wind of this. Yeah, like I said, I may have in, like, passing and just didn't realize it. But it's just one of those that just crept up on me pretty fast. And it wasn't until the trailers was released, which I believe was around Thanksgiving of this past year or something like that, maybe a little earlier than that, is when I finally started noticing it, of course. But I gotta tell you, it was love at first sight, even just by the trailers. Though I was still keeping my expectations at a low point. But was this a worthy slasher? Did it give my expectation level that boost, that kick in the ass that it needed? Or was this just a huge, dull, rusty, unsatisfactory dud? Starting off with the positives, I love that we got another Valentine-themed horror film. Now, I'm not one for the whole romance and all that stuff. I'm not down for that usually. But I do not mind it being in a horror film, of course, being who I am. Even with some of the things that comes with Valentine's Day, like kissing and holding hands and all that stuff. But we haven't been getting much of those lately. We haven't been getting much of Valentine's Day themed horror films for some reason. Last one being the 2009 remake of My Bloody Valentine. Before that, it was the Valentine from 2001. Just Valentine. And then before that was the original My Bloody Valentine from 1981. Those are the only ones that hit these eyes. There may be more out there, correct me if I'm wrong, but those are the only three that's hit these eyes. That, and of course this one, Heart Eyes. And maybe Companion. Gosh, yeah, I just now realized that Companion had just come out, and that's sort of a Valentine Day-ish type of film. There's plenty of Christmas, there's some Thanksgiving horror films, like last year's Thanksgiving or a couple years Thanksgiving film that came out. Maybe not as much of those, but still. And of course you got the Halloween-themed films, which is basically the poster child of the genre. There's not enough Valentine's Day-themed horror films. So when I heard of Heart Eyes coming out, and it was another one of those themed films, I was rejoiced. And of course, the theme was sound here. I thought they did a really good job with adding the Valentine's Day theme along with the horror element and all the other crazy stuff that was going on in this. Because you have this killer, which I thought was pretty badass, who kills couples on Valentine's Day. This person targets couples, nobody else but anybody else that gets in their way. And this individual dons this mask with these little heart-shaped eyes, which I thought gave it an extra kick. And I really did enjoy what this killer brought. The physique itself made me think of Jason Voorhees. Just the way that this person would walk and just the way he would use different instruments to implement his kills. And just the different methods that he would use, I thought was pretty cool. And speaking of the kills, you get plenty of carnage candy in here. When you go see a movie like this, you expect plenty. And it delivered. I thought it delivered pretty well on that front. You got plenty of carnage candy, plenty of creative kills. It's not just stabby stab like Scream. There's actual genuine creativity here. Again, kind of like that Thanksgiving film, which was kind of in the same boat. But you get plenty here, sure enough, to satisfy that gorehound in you. Especially for those of you who are gorehound freaks like I am. They even had this one kill to where they paid tribute to the My Bloody Valentine films, to where you have this ripped out heart, and it shows this in the trailer. I'm not spoiling anything, because it's all but red band trailers that I've seen, where you have this ripped out heart at the crime scene after one of the murders, to where you have this heart that's placed on the ground and that's surrounded by these rose petals that's shaped like a heart. I almost cheered when that scene came up. I was like, damn, that's just like in My Bloody Valentine. I thought that was pretty clever. I thought that was pretty genius. And again, it's just one of those ways to keep those past Valentine film horror in My Bloody Valentine alive. And it's just all the more reasons why I think we need more films that center around this time of year at least. The two main characters which this film follows throughout, in Olivia Holt and Mason Gooding, I thought was a delight. I thought their chemistry worked for what the film was saying, for the story of this film. You believe everything in what these two are dealing with and going through. Not just with this killer after them and all the other carnage that's happening to them, but with the emotional level and what they feel and how they interact with each other. I thought was done pretty well. I thought was written pretty well with their emotions toward each other. Especially Olivia Holt. She was badass. I thought she was awesome. Out of all the characters in this film, which her and Mason Gooding was the only characters I could probably stand, but Olivia Holt was badass. I thought she was really good. I thought she held her own. I thought she was a really cool character. It's just one of those characters I could follow, like Sidney Prescott. No, I'm not comparing, but still, it's just a character like Sidney Prescott that I could follow really easily, and that's what Olivia Holt brought. I even thought the killer reveal was pretty interesting. There's some twists and turns that I never saw coming, particularly with one character I never thought I'd see the day come. I thought that was written very nicely. I thought it wrapped up pretty neatly. And I thought it was pretty satisfactory to me. I mean, again, it's not going to be for everybody, I'm sure. But to me, it was pretty satisfactory on that a little bit of an atomic level. Especially with the shock and value that it brought with it for me personally. As much as I praised this, as much as I held this up, and probably a little higher than others, there were still some things that didn't quite land, that did kind of annoy me. Though it's probably not going to be as much as most others, because I do kind of feel like this is a film that's not going to satisfy everyone. It's not going to be on that Scream level. It's not going to probably even be on the Thanksgiving level that Eli Roth came out with. But it's going to be one of those that's probably going to be a little divisive. But I did say at the beginning of this video that I was holding my expectations down. I was taming them, because I was fully expecting to find something wrong, to find something that would rub me the wrong way. And unfortunately, that did happen in this. So as I dive into my negatives, this was the biggest issue for me, the comedic element. I wasn't too crazy about that. That was the one element that fell flat on its face, just completely flat. Just about to the point to where I felt like this element, the comedic tone of this film, shouldn't have been there at all. They should have just made it straight up serious. The way they executed the jokes and the humor was just embarrassing. At no point did I find myself laugh or even smirk. The only time I really did do that, just a little bit, was with Olivia Holt's character, but she was badass anyway. But I was sitting here the whole time like this. They should have just stuck with a much more needed serious tone. It would have made more sense, especially with the tone of the killer and how they presented him. Now going into this, I heard that it was going to be a comedy horror film, but there are ways to do that without embarrassing yourself, without making it feel forced, because that's what it felt like. It felt forced all the way. Almost too much. Just a little bit too much forced. But like I said, there are ways to do that without making it feel like that or awkward. But sometimes, or most of the time, especially with the humor side of this film, it just felt way off kilter. And that's just the way this went. Just a very cheesy and unbalanced, unfocused tonal effect. Maybe I'll feel a little differently when I watch this again, because I will be watching this again. And despite my gripes, I did still enjoy this, but this was the element that just kind of broke it for me. Because unfortunately in doing so, it did make the film's pace just a little bit slow during that second act. Almost to the point to where I said to myself during the second act, okay, that's enough already. Let's move on. Get to more kills, please. It just felt like it was focusing a little bit too much on the thing that I couldn't care less about instead of the thing that I did care a lot about. But luckily, I was quick to forgive it. This is still in the negatives. It's not a mixed. I'm standing by what I'm saying here. I don't feel like the comedic element was necessary at all. But given the situation and given everything else that went down after, it was quite forgiven, and I'll just put it that way. Still, it was a little bit of a drag. It was a little bit of a disappointment there, but luckily that didn't last long. It's just a minor at best. So as I said, I still enjoyed this film despite that issue. I still enjoyed this. This is one of those films that, like I said, is gonna not agree with everybody. It's not gonna be at Scream level or even Thanksgiving level, but hopefully it'll be one of those that people will come around to eventually. I still enjoyed it. I still had fun with it. Contrary to my negatives, I still dug this. Sure, it was a little goofy and silly at times, but it was a happy accident for me. Well, that's it for this one, guys. What were your thoughts on Heart Eyes? Have you had a chance to check it out yet? You probably haven't. It just came out. But if you have, what was your thoughts on it? Was this your favorite slasher film? Are you a fan of themed-based slashers in general? Do you wish that there was more of these out here? Or is this not your cup of tea? Is this just not something for you? Do you think that these are just cheesy as hell and just not worth your time? What's your thoughts in general? Leave me a comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, for watching and clicking here. I really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Make sure to click that bell icon as always so you don't miss a thing. And if you're a couple celebrating this Valentine's Day, just watch out and be safe. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.